Anchors up, sails at full. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing all right, Jared. Doing all right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. This is a decisive win for your Ohio State Buckeyes. I think even the hateriest of haters, of which we all know, the hateriest of haters, all come from within the house. Those are all fellow Buckeye fans, the hardest of haters. And I think even they will, and I'm not about to be handing out straight A's once we get to the report card. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like even there, I think we're in a place. I think it's going to be a good report card. I think is what I'm trying to say. And I think that even if you're a super hater, and like I said before, the most superiest of haters, and I went in for a third attempt and I still couldn't get it. Come from within the Ohio State fan base. So let's start wherever you want to start, Kyle. Where would you like to start?
Good question. I guess let's look at the positive here. Ohio State did really well when it came to running the ball. They ran it for what was the final here? 163 yards. They averaged 4.2 yards a carry. Mainly looking at the three main running backs here: Hayden X and Trainum, 6.9, 7.8, and 4.7 yards per carry, respectively, for the three of them. So the question is here: did Ohio State fix what issues that Ohio State had with the running attack, or is it just because they were playing Purdue?
Yeah, and that's not a question that we're gonna have. We're not gonna answer that question by the end of this episode. I think we'll have
maybe
a better
this time next week.
We'll have a better understanding after Penn State.
Yes.
They didn't fix the burn. They just put makeup on their face, maybe. And I think that what Ohio State at least started doing, they came out passing early. You look at that first drive, it was mostly passes. And then they started getting some successful runs a little bit later in that drive. And then in the next drive, where it almost feel like they sort of loosened up Penn State. They got them to like back up. They got the defense a little bit loose. And then after that happened, is Penn State better than Notre Dame? I don't think so. Defensively, they might be. And I think we're also just looking at the offensive line as a work in progress. And since Notre Dame, there's been a bye week, a Maryland game, and a Purdue game. Penn State is more consistent than Notre Dame. Their defense is better. I think they have a better defense. And again, like, if we're looking at the offensive line and we're asking, because they looked very, very good in this game against Purdue. They looked very good in this game against Purdue. They didn't look perfect. And like when I say they looked very good, I'm talking about very good based off of the low expectations that we had. Again, Purdue is what Zach says. Yeah, but they've looked like a bad offensive line against not great defensive lines on several occasions this year. We have Marv. We've always had Marv.
Yeah, you're talking about
some of it was better blocking schemes against Purdue. Hayden was quick to the hole and is the best back with this O-line. An interesting take. Just give the ball to Marv. I mean, what we've gotten out of this season so far, Youngstown State is really good. Youngstown State is a very good football team. All right. How are they doing? How's Youngstown State doing on the FCS level?
So you were talking about earlier, Jared, that Ohio State's first drive, they went pass happy. First pass incomplete, 15 yards to Marv. 2-yard rush by Trainum, 34-yard pass to Marv, 4-yard rush to Trainum, then a pass, then a touchdown to Marv for 14 yards. So of the 69 yards on that first drive there, so that would be 63 of those yards went to Marv on that first drive.
I asked how Youngstown State is doing. Austin said they have one other loss, just upset the number 1 seed in their conference. Then Austin says, "Oh, they lost again." Hey, a good offensive line can only take you so far.
Yeah, back to this game here. So a lot of us were worried about, we're going back to Purdue here. Thankfully, It's not a night game here. Is Purdue going to have some sort of magic here? And I mean, that was quickly answered through the early part or middle part of the second quarter there. Yeah, the weather was ugly there, and when you look at the stats there, Kyle McCord, 16 for 28, 276 yards, 3 touchdowns, which is not bad.
Not bad.
But in taking consideration how many drop balls there were in that game. There were so many drop balls that really Kyle McCord should be like 22 for 28, something like that too. There were so many drop balls. Now maybe you can blame it part on the weather, but these are elite wide receivers that should be able to make these catches though.
Yeah, Marv had a lot of drops, which is uncharacteristic. I agree.
That's the story of this. That's the story of this year with Marv. Like last year, we were talking about how many you can count in one hand how many drop passes he had all of last year, and this year you have to use 2 hands now. It's very uncharacteristic of him.
X had one weird drop on the deep ball. That should have been a PI, in my opinion. The defensive back had one of his arms.
One arm.
Kind of, if we're thinking about the same play, one of his arms restricted. So he tried to one-hand it, if we're thinking about the same play. Fleming had a drop that was bad. I'll say it. I'm not going to be kind to the wide receivers on the grade, despite what was overall a good game. Our expectations for them are high, and therefore we will grade them strictly. Downfield blocking was good. But then that'll factor in. I think they had a good blocking game.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think overall I was really impressed with the offense here. Almost broke the 500 yards for the game, 497 yards.
And by the way, it should be noted that Ohio State packed it in pretty early offensively too.
They did. So if I'm looking at the first half here, let me get the comparison here by house here. So in the first half here, Ohio State had 269 yards, 20 points for the first half there. Only 2 penalties in the first half, and was 6 for 7 on third downs. Did very, very well in that first half. And then the second half, as Jared was alluding to, they kind of took their foot off the gas there. Not as efficient as the first half. 2 for 6 on third downs in that second half. But again, I think a lot of it, Ohio State was just letting a lot of other players get the field here, and why risk injury?
Question for you, Kyle. We saw more Devin Brown in this game than we've seen since Kyle McCord was declared the starter. And we're not just talking about junk time, and Devin Brown did also get some junk time snaps. But we saw Devin Brown get some legitimate
meaningful
snaps.
Touches.
Yeah. Now, my question for you is this. Are we going to see Devin Brown in short yardage plays from here on out? Is that a new wrinkle to the offense? Or was Ryan Day trying to throw some stuff on tape to screw with Penn State?
There you go. I think it's that. I think it's a little bit of both there. I think I think Ryan Day is just trying to throw more tape at Penn State so that they have to plan for more, think of more things when Ohio State gets into the red zone. But also, too, Ohio State's kind of struggled in the red zone a little bit, trying to punch it in to get 6 points at times this year, too. So,
short yardage, period, has been an issue for Ohio State the past couple of years. Goal line or not, just any sort of short yardage has been bad. Kyle McCord even ran an option keeper. He did.
He got 9 yards on that one.
He dove like 2 yards before the first down marker. And so I saw some people were like, 2 more yards, or, however more yards. I'm like, nah, just get down, buddy. If you ever want Ryan Day to let you run that play ever again, you just get down without contact. That's your job on that play, is just to keep the other team honest and not get hit. Slide. Can I be honest with you? I don't know if Kyle McCord can slide. I'm just saying, like, I've never seen it. He doesn't move fast enough. See, that's what I'm kind of thinking. I think the dive might be the best. I think the dive might be the best option for him. It's still college football. And you're still the quarterback. You're protected regardless. The whole idea of the slide was an NFL thing, because the slide says I'm down. But in college football, you're already down. You don't have to be tackled to the ground like the NFL. If you go down, you can't get up. Why does anyone ever slide in college football?
To me, in this game here, I think the biggest takeaway was seeing Devin Brown come in and get meaningful snaps here. And he had a great throw as well for Ennis's first
the
first
Kenny
catch
Pickett
and
fake
touchdown.
slide is now illegal. They let Kenny Pickett do that once, and then the refs said never again.
Yep. But yeah, I'd be interested to see if Brown comes in for the Penn State game, if this is here to stay. Me personally, I do not have an issue with that, as long as if it means 6 points on the board versus 3. I'm all for having Devin Brown come in.
I mean, as long as he holds on to the ball this time.
Yeah. There's that part too.
Yeah, there's that part. Is that Ohio State's only turnover on the day, though?
Let's look. If I'm doing comparison here,
they lost another fumble in the third.
That's right. It was 2 fumbles.
What's the second fumble? What's the second fumble?
Oh,
why am I not remembering it? That was a great hit by the Boilermaker. Stover recovered it. No, this says fumbled loss. Stat sheet says lost fumble.
Yep, 2 of them. Let's see, it was in the second half here. I'm trying to look here while you talk about.
No, Devin Brown was in the second quarter. This one happened in the third quarter, apparently. McCord fumbled. It was a strip sack.
McCord was sacked for 9 yards. Yep.
Yeah.
It was late in the third quarter.
Yeah. That's right.
And that was the one where Purdue ended up getting their only points for the game.
Man, the kicker for Purdue was not having a good game.
No, he wasn't. What was he?
0 for 3, and then I don't think they tried again after the third one.
Yeah. 48, Purdue, 39, and a 27 yarder. I don't want to
get into it. I don't feel like the kicker was put into position to do well on several occasions. but we don't need to get into.
Let's talk about the defense here. Held Purdue to 257 yards here, 3 for 17 on third downs.
Huge.
That was huge here. That was one thing that Ohio State at times struggled trying to get off the field. They did that very well in this game here. What was it? They ended up getting 3 sacks for the game here. I think all 3 sacks were in that first half.
By the way, to the running back,
and 9 tackle for losses, 9 of them in this game.
That's huge too. Of course, how many of those were sacks?
3.
Was it only 3 sacks?
3 sacks. All of them were in that first half.
Yeah, I was about to get to that.
Actually, all of them were in the second quarter.
To Maccabee, the Purdue running back. I apologize. I was not familiar with your game. I really like him. I kind of don't want him to be on Purdue anymore so that he can go be on a good team. Like, I really like him.
Maccabee? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, did you realize he had 110 rushing yards on the day? The one bright spot in the offense. Bright spot in the office. I really, really like him. I hope he transfers somewhere else and makes a name for himself in college football, because that's how the things work now. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon your perspective on the matter. Did he play in Columbus in 21? I don't think so. He wasn't even on scholarship until this year. He's a walk-on. Maccabee's a walk-on. If y'all didn't stay late and see that segment.
Hey, Jared. Without looking, who had the most tackles for Ohio State in this game? Without looking,
tackles.
yes.
Yeah, I'm not looking. I'd almost want to say like either JT or Tyleek. Like, I feel like it was a lot of defensive line tackles.
JT only had 2 tackles.
No shit.
He only had 2 tackles. Sawyer had 3. Chambers had 4. Cody Simon with 8 tackles, as well as Tommy Eichenberg had 8 tackles too. But I'm going to give the edge to Cody Simon because he had 5 solos versus Eichenberg had 4. Yeah, Cody Simon played a lot in this game than he typically does.
Yeah. I wonder what the decision making is as far as like when he plays more versus when he doesn't play more. As far as like matchups and all that goes. Playing better against the run than any of the LBs. I think so too.
That's what I'm thinking, Woody.
Gangland suggesting they may have just hot-handed it because did Steele have a bad couple drives? I didn't notice that. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying I didn't notice. Simon needs to play on run, maybe. I'm getting I'm getting a lot of affirmatives on the idea that they put Simon in because Steele didn't play well early.
That's fair. You're mentioning Tyleek. Yeah, Tyleek had a really good game as well. As a defensive lineman, he led the team in pass breakups.
Yeah, I feel like the defensive line in general had a really, really good game in this game. And is not a good Purdue, like with the exception of Maccabee. This was not a good Purdue team. Offensively, Hudson Card, one isn't very good, but also 2 was not getting any help from his offensive line. And with all due respect to the offensive line, they came into the game down a tackle. And then I think they lost their other tackle early in the game.
Right guard.
Was it right guard? but they were down their left tackle coming into the game. They lost another offensive lineman early in the game, and then it was pretty late in the game, but then they lost a third offensive lineman. Now, again, that was late in the game. But the point being is that it wasn't a very good offensive line to begin with. Then they were down a few guys, and Ohio State's defensive line took advantage of that. Ohio State really took it to Purdue's mash unit of an offensive line. Tylik is on par to be first team All-American. I think he should be in consideration at the very least.
Yep.
Should have had won 69-0. If they had wanted to, I think they could have.
All right, let's give some grading here, Jared, unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about or mention in here.
We saw a quarterback sneak.
We did. So that play is in the playbook.
It is now. We now know that it is in fact in there. And I don't know if we talked about Hayden enough. In case of emergency, break glass, get Hayden. I mean, we'll grade the running backs, so we'll get there, I'm sure. But Trainum leaves the game with what pretty obviously to me, I don't know if they've confirmed this or not, had a concussion. Yeah, gang. You don't have to be a near doctor to know that was a concussion, gangland. The running back crew is very, very thin right now. Hopefully, I don't think we get Trainum back for next week. I think I don't think that's a play again in 7 days concussion. I think we'll be down Trainum next week. With Henderson being a game time decision, you'd like to think that means that he comes back. And that he'll be ready for Penn State. Since, like I said, he's a game time decision this week. We don't really know what's up with Chop, so I don't know if he'll be back or not. The good news is that despite all the talks about the red shirt, Hayden still looked ready, and quite frankly, X looked good in relief as well.
Yes, he did. Yeah, X looked really well. I think we mentioned it when we were watching the game together. The way the X ran, he ran with a purpose. He ran with some speed behind him there. Just when he saw the hole, he just went right for it.
All right, Kyle. I got the chalkboard up. I'm ready to hand out some grades. Coaching. How you feel about the coaching this week?
I thought coaching was well. They didn't have to make changes at halftime in order to fix any things that needed fix here. So I think an A. I can't really. There's not really anything overall that I'd say that either side of coaching did really bad on. So I can't say anything bad. You were on the road in a pretty miserable weather atmosphere here. Yeah, I think an A.
I think Gangland sums it up pretty well. Tendency breakers and came out firing. Day was electric too. Yeah.
Yeah, Day was.
Special teams. We'll worry about special teams.
We'll get there.
It says kicking on there, but that's basically special teams.
Quarterback. All right, Jared. The quarterback here.
Now we have to do both quarterbacks.
Yep. McCord, 16 for 28, 57%, 276, 3 touchdowns, and Devin Brown, 1 for 2, 1 touchdown, 58 yards.
Hey, one completion
and both quarterbacks with a lost fumble.
Brandon Innes with his first catch of his career.
Yeah, but we're talking about quarterbacks first.
Yeah, but it was Devin Brown's one completion.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
Say,
Devin Brown, 8 carries for 20 yards, including the rushing touchdown, but also including the fumble.
Yeah.
So
let's see.
What do you think in chat?
Gosh, it's tough because, I mean, you look at McCord and mentioned here, McCord 16 for 28, but a lot of those incompletions were dropped passes. I'm going to say, I'll say a B plus. I got to knock him for the lost fumbles there.
Yeah.
So I'll give him a B plus here. I think McCord's throws are right where they needed to be. He still has that tendency to maybe hold on to the ball longer than he needs to, and ends up getting, seems like his third straight game of having a intentional grounding here.
Yeah. I'm going to go down to a B. You can't be fumbling the ball. Devin Brown doing what Devin Brown has done, when we've seen him. He was at times spectacular and at times making you wonder what the hell he's doing. He had 2 passes. One of them was a 58-yard touchdown. The other one was thrown straight into the dirt. He ran for a touchdown and looked great. He also ran for a touchdown, except it wasn't a touchdown because he fumbled it. And Kyle McCord, I think, is not spectacular yet, but I think he's doing exactly what the team needs him to do. And as Kyle pointed out, his stats would look a lot better if Ohio State's wide receivers didn't drop so many damn balls. So I think a straight B, I think, feels about right.
Yep. All right, running backs here. I think running backs, I mentioned at the top of the show, Hayden, 6.9 yards per carry, X 7.8, Trainum 4.7. I would say like a B plus as well. I think the running backs did a really good job overall. I can't really say too much negative about them, but I don't think I could give them an A though. But I think a B plus.
Kyle, I'm giving them an A plus. You're down. I mean, when did Trainum go out?
I don't remember.
First quarter, second. It was either late first quarter or early second quarter. But you spend the majority of your game without your top 3 running backs. And what does Ohio State do? They just keep going back to the cupboard. And if I'm going to grade based off of the expectation of not having your top 3 running backs, you go down into running back 4, 5, 6. You move one of your wide receivers to running back for the game, and you're still putting up yards. That to me is the extra sort of effort that I think not just get you an A, but get you an A plus.
Okay. All right, the offensive line here, Jared.
Hayden ran like he was pissed off he's been on the bench. Yeah.
Offensive line, I think this is the first time I'm going to give them first time all year, but I'm going to give them an A. I'm going to give the offensive line an A here. Did a very, very good job when the game mattered here. 0 sacks here, and I'm looking here.
Can't be 0 sacks.
0 sacks when the game mattered here. So in the first half, there was 0 sacks, and then the first sack that was allowed was in that third quarter at the end of the third quarter when McCord got sacked and lost the fumble.
Woody brings up a good point that there was a number of penalties on the offensive line still.
That's true. You can give mine an A minus then. I'll knock him just a little bit for that. I'll say an A minus.
I think an A minus.
That is very true.
I think an A- is very, very fair. This is, I mean, and by the way, considering we gave him an F last week,
Yeah.
that's a nice jump. That's a very nice jump for them. Chip came out with 2:30 left in the first quarter.
Wow.
There you go.
And tight end. What, how can I give anything less than an A+ for the tight ends here?
I agree. It is officially, non-jokingly, non-ironically, the year of the tight end. Like, jokes aside, no meme, no joke, no haha, no rah-rah. Well, okay, maybe a little bit of rah-rah. It is the year of the tight end.
In October. It is October, Jared.
Yeah.
And a tight end caught 2 touchdowns in a single game. We've seen it in September. We've seen tight ends get multiple touchdowns in a game. We've seen that, but in October, whoa.
And by the way, in a game in which the run blocking looked good, you also have to talk about the tight ends in that respect as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, wide receivers.
This is going to maybe sound silly. I mean, maybe it's not. We've talked a lot about, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. goes over 100 yards again, gets a touchdown. That being said, the next leading receiver is a tight end, is Stover. Then your next 2 leading wide receivers after that are 2 freshmen who came in the game late. Fleming had a bad drop. Marvin had a bad drop. Maybe a couple bad drops. Where are the wide receivers at in this game? And like, I know Emeka doesn't play. Xavier had 1 catch. Fleming had 1 catch. If you take away the freshman and you take away Marv, and hell, what position was Xavier playing when he caught the ball? Was he a running back or wide receiver when he made that catch? I honestly don't remember.
I don't remember. I don't remember that catch.
Because if you take that catch away, then there's only 1 catch by the wide receivers outside the freshman and outside of Marv. Freshman wideouts get an A++++. Yeah, no, that's what I said. Fleming had 1. That's the only wide receiver catch not by a freshman and not by Marv. Unless, of course, Xavier was playing wide receiver when he caught that ball, in which case there were 2. They ran the same play he dropped. Well, there you go.
It was the very first, or I'm sorry, it was the second play in the second half there.
Well, that doesn't, unfortunately, tell us what position he was playing. I don't know. It's
yeah. I'm going to guess it's running back here based on the play here. The ball was at the 42. He caught it at the 42-yard line and then ran it for 21 yards. So he caught it right at the line of scrimmage.
That tends to indicate he was playing running back, but not necessarily, but tends to indicate it.
Yeah. Either way, I'm giving the wide receivers a C. I think a C is fair enough because there were plenty of plays where the wide receivers blocked very well down the field there, and
Absolutely.
I was really impressed and still proud of the way that that Brian Hartline coaches these receivers and how well that they can block down the field here. Even with Fleming not being struggling to make catches here, he's still an excellent run blocker.
Yes. C is fair, but Tate and Ennis were awesome. See, that's the thing. I was very tempted. I'm giving him a B-. I was very tempted to like go after the wide receivers here, but one, they blocked really well. And two, the freshman wide receivers are still part of the wide receiver group. I can't just, and I said it several times. If you take away the receptions you can't take away the receptions by the freshman wide receivers. They were playing too. And Marv had a bad game by Marv standards, but a bad game by Marv standards is still 105 catches and a touchdown. So as much as I kind of want to rip them for all the drop passes, the freshmen still played well. Marv only had a bad game by Marv standards, and Fleming may not have been great at catching the ball, but he and the entire wide receiving core blocked well. Like I said, I really wanted to go after him and like give him a real bad grade here, but I'm going to do a B-. All
right. Defensive line.
Did I say 105 catches? 105 yards.
It's interesting. So Marv had 6 catches, 105 yards, 4 catches, and 63 yards of that was on the first drive.
Yeah.
Just an interesting stat there. All right, defensive line here. I'm giving them A. I'll give them an A. I thought the defensive line played very well. Tyleek is still a monster. Yeah, defensive line A.
I'm going to go A+, Kyle.
All right.
I think they got a lot of pressure. But how many of the tackles for a loss were produced by you said there was a ton of defensive tackle or a ton of tackles for a loss. Sawyer had 1.5. JT had 1.5. McDonald had a half of a tackle for a loss. Malone had half a tackle for a loss.
Yep. Simon and Eichenberg each had one.
Well, we're talking defensive line for now, but
defensive line. Yeah. Okay.
Sawyer had a sack and a half in this game. JT had a sack and a half in this game. Sawyer had a really nice rip move on the solo sack he had. Was it a hand swipe? Was the rip move on the shared sack? I might be conflating the two.
The shared sack was with JT.
No, I had just said that he had got the single sack on a rip move, but right when I said it, Gangland said it was with a hand swipe, and I was just thinking I may have swapped those around.
Okay, got it. All right, moving on to the linebackers. I thought linebackers did okay. I thought they did okay. The reason I am not giving them an A in this one is you look at what Purdue was able to do on the ground there. Mainly their main running back, 18 attempts, 110 yards, over 6 yards a carry there. That tells me that the linebackers weren't filling those holes enough there. Well, it wasn't. Some of it was a garbage time, but there's quite a bit of that wasn't legit time too. So I'm going to give the linebackers a B+ there.
Rushing yards. Purdue had 30 of their rushing yards in the first quarter, 43 of their rushing yards in the second quarter. They had basically no rush yards in the third quarter, but then had 41 in the fourth quarter. So they had more of their rushing yards in the first half than the second half. Steele was lost. Ike and Simon looked good. C feels tough. High expectations. I don't know. I mean, I thought Simon and Eichenberg had a good game. And I understand. I thought so too. And I understand that maybe the other linebackers didn't. And I'm not trying to angle for an A+ here or anything like that. But, one of your linebackers is having a bad game. You took him out. You put in your backup linebacker who had a great game. And
exactly. And that's why I think a B plus is fair.
It's a linebacker driven defense. No, it is a safety driven
Ooh.
defense. That is at
Yes.
least what our defensive coordinator says.
Yeah, what grade are you giving the linebackers?
I'm gonna go with just a straight B. Could have been better, but I thought Simon came in and covered up for a lot of the shortcomings of the other linebackers.
Fair enough.
What's your grade?
It was a B plus. All right. The corners here. I thought the corners played very well. Purdue's passing 14 for 35, 134 yards. I thought the corners played very, very well here. Igbinosun is coming into his own. Yeah, he was beginning of the season. It was very iffy and wasn't sure about him being that corner too, but
everyone keeps saying
he's really
keeps
coming
saying
along.
that. I don't agree.
No,
I understand that he didn't look like he had some like penalty issues early, but I don't know. I feel like the whole he didn't start well thing is exaggerated. That's all.
I'll give the corners an A, and you might as well give the safeties an A as well too for me. I thought they did very well.
Okay.
What are you giving them, Jared?
I agree. Safeties with an A. I don't feel like going A plus, and that's not a negative on them. It's just that I feel like the defensive line was making such a mess of things that it made the defensive backs, especially the cornerbacks' jobs very easy. And didn't necessarily cause any big turnovers or anything this game. So we need to keep those A pluses back. And I think most of that can be said about the safeties as well. Kicking. I'll say this about the kicking. At least we're not Purdue.
Mr. Very first extra point of the season here.
Yeah. So here's the thing. We were watching this game as the social screen this week because Peacock. I need to remember to cancel my Peacock account. We're watching this game as the social screen. I can say it now because it's not advertising. If I'd have said we were doing it before we did it, then it would have been me advertising that we were doing it, which would have been illegal. I can say it now. Anyway, the point I was saying is Ohio State misses their extra point. I go to Kyle. I go, well, we have to give the kicking an F now. He wasn't here to hear it. So it's just like we have to give him an F now. You can't miss an extra point. But then Mirko.
But Mirko did really
then
well.
Mirko just planted the ball on the 1 yard line on a punt. You know what's funny? We're watching this game live. So they have the ball in their own 40. And there's like, are they going to go for it? Are they going to go for it? And then they sent out the punt crew. And I was just like, oh man, you're going to send out the punt crew? And then they got like a 5 yard penalty. And I was like, oh great, now I got a 5 yard penalty. I go, no, it's fine. It's just giving them extra room to kick. This is a good thing. And then
the second one.
And then there was a second 5 yard penalty. I go, guys, that one was on purpose too. It's fine. Like they're literally doing this on purpose. It's fine. He needs a little extra room to kick. They're now at the 50. This is an ideal place to kick from. This is exactly where you want to be kicking from. Then he planted it on the 5 yard line and everyone just had to bow down to me. Because I was right. because I was right. Esquire, I'm not going to go back down over it. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it.
I'll say a C.
Yeah, you got to meet in the middle. It's all, it's almost like, hey, you know what, Kyle, I'm going to cheat. Can I cheat? I'm going to go A.
No, stop it, Jared.
Then I'm going to put a D.
Stop it, Jared.
And I'm going to do the kicking and the punting separately. How about that? Kyle says no, so he's just going to do a straight. He's going to stick to the rules and just do a straight C.
I am sticking to the rules.
Punt coverage wasn't the best.
Kick coverage was great.
Didn't we kick one out of bounds?
Yeah, one of them was, yes.
It was late in the game, though. Really urban that one up. All right, Kyle. There's our report card.
That is our report card. Let's do our Buckeye leaves. Offense here, I'm going to give mine to X. I'm giving mine to X here. He led the team in all-purpose yards with 109 yards in the game here. I'm going to give mine to X.
That makes a lot of sense. I'll give mine to Hayden for obvious reasons. In case of emergency, break glass, pull out Hayden. Chat, who's your offensive sticker going to?
I got a couple of Stovers there. So
we got
Stover.
We got 3 Stovers. All right. Defensively, where are you going?
Defensively, I'm going to go with Simon. I'm going to go with Simon here. He comes in here, he playing, got more snaps than he typically does here, and he played really well. Mentioned that he led the team, or tied the team in tackles, led the team in solo tackles. He had a tackle for loss in there. Yeah, I thought Simon had a really good game.
It looks like the chat wants Tyleek. I will go with Sawyer. Gets 1.5 sacks in this game. Looked like a menace a lot of the time. So I'm going to go Sawyer.
All right. And your wild card. Who do you want to give one to? What's another player that you would like?
The Purdue kicker. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's a joke. I'm not really giving it to the Purdue kicker. I really wanted to go X here. You stole my answer a bit, giving it to him on the offensive side. So, I'm going to try, I'll go somewhere else. And, I'm going to go Devin Brown.
Devin Brown. Okay. Got 2 touchdowns, touchdowns for the game there.
Gets 2 touchdowns, came in out of nowhere, underdog story. Thought we weren't going to see him for the rest of the year. And then boom, here he comes back in trying to save the short yardage play, and everyone would be like, Jared, he fumbled. He got the dude got the helmet right on the ball. That's football. That shit's going to happen sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So
next time he doesn't got to go hero ball on it, and he doesn't have to make the dive.
Chet stole my pick. They decided to go on Ennis here for theirs. So you know what I'm going to give mine to? I'm going to give mine to Coach Day. Coach Day here. Came in and he had a really good game plan. Start off really well here. Score could have been 48-49 points if didn't have that fumble right at the goal line there. But I thought Day coached a really well-rounded game here. And I love the energy I see from him these past few games. I know that was one of the things you heard of from other people talking about Day, about him just not being that energetic, and he's just there on the sidelines, and he's really shown just a lot of just enthusiasm there, and he really let the players know that if they effed up, he let them know.
Yeah, I remember one drive in particular. I think it was the same drive that they punted on, if I'm remembering correctly, but I might not be. By the way, we really don't still need to be on the report card page.
That's fine.
He ripped into Josh Simmons for was it a holding call on that play? And then it was a hold. Gangland is Oh yeah, that's the one where he straight up tackled the dude. And on that same drive, to make sure he spread it around before he was yelling at Josh Simmons, he is ripping in the Kyle McCord on, I assume, blaming him for because they also had a delay of game on that drive. It really just killed the drive, and he ripped them both coming off the sideline. A lot of day coming, a lot of energy coming from Day right now.
Yeah, I think I saw somebody said here, Tate would have been another good name here to choose. Tate had himself a best game in his young career at Ohio State, 3 catches, 79 yards in this game here. That definitely could have been an option as well too.
All right, Kyle, do we have any Ask Sloopcast to take us out on?
No, don't have any here, but that is okay because I think this is a good place to wrap it up here, though.
I want mine answered from earlier. Did you put it in the Ask Sloopcast channel? If you didn't put it in the Ask Sloopcast channel, then you're just screwing over Kyle's ability to see it.
What is Dave's beef with Pryor?
I gotta follow links now. How many more years until Heartline is taken somewhere as an HC? I don't think he's gonna, to be honest. He's spoken on this a couple times in the past. And he says he just wants to coach at Ohio State. He says he's just happy to coach at Ohio State. I mean, he's got some, he has some local, I think both in, I think he's got some small companies or something that he owns in the Cleveland and Columbus area. He's got NFL money in his pockets already. It's easy to say that until they offer you $4 million a year. They're not going to offer someone who's never been a head coach before to be a $4 million head coach.
Yeah.
He isn't even the OC, just got a raise and a title change to do the same job. No, he is the OC now. He might be a co-OC, but he's an OC. And he is calling plays. I mean, I'm sure he's calling plays at Day's direction, but he is calling plays. I mean, they both call play. Like it's not a single person that calls plays is the point. I want everyone to come to the Discord server, come hang out. Maybe even, we can talk about the Patreon. $3 a month. You can watch games with us. You actually can watch games with us without paying $3 a month, but you can talk to us during the games for $3 a month. Come tell Jared to go fuck himself. Yeah, for $3 a month, you can tell me to go fuck myself. You can also just do that in YouTube comments, quite frankly. Although when people do it in the Discord, it feels like, you funny. But when they do it in the YouTube comments, it feels mean. So maybe don't. But yeah, come hang out in the Discord server. And if you're having fun in the Discord server, at that point, maybe throw us $3 a month. or more. You can do more if you want to. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's Corner?
Yeah, we had a surprise boom during the game here, and that is a four-star kid for the 2025 class, Maryland cornerback Blake Woodby. It was a little surprise to see him commit here, but he put a commitment video and said that he was born 2 months early, but I was right on time. Born and ready. Now I'm ready to share my commitment to the Ohio State.
Probably a late night SSS next week. Some fun games to watch with us. Taking a peek ahead at the schedule, Austin's already calling a night game social screen next week. Yeah, so that's it. That's the end of today's show. Kyle, we can talk about the schedule on that. We always do that on the Tuesday episode. Come make sure to join us on the Tuesday episode. We'll look at the national scope. So with all music, tonight's ending music is a band from, I believe they're from the Cleveland area, called Signals Midwest. So that will be tonight's episode, or tonight's music for today's episode, Signals Midwest. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, Signals Midwest.